Hi! Before we get into it, I want to give a brief introduction. My name is Koti, and I make tons of video game themed foods and crafts. I recently counted, and I've now made over 70 crafts and foods based on video games. So it's probably time to make a compilation. Now, I'm not gonna put all 70 in one video, we'll do these in chunks. These are all vertical style videos as I normally post to YouTube Shorts, but I still hope you enjoy. So I recently made the Stardew Valley chicken fidget at home, but a lot of you are upset I didn't make the blue chicken, so let's remedy that. These are really easy to make using a SnapX canvas, which you can find online, and some perler beads. Just push the bead onto the peg and snap it in. That's it. One bead is one pixel. Have a reference photo nearby and add the beads one at a time. Once you get the hang of it, they're so easy to pop in. I love how this chicken has a cute little curly tail, just another thing that makes the blue chicken so unique. Which critter from Stardew is your favorite? When I finished, I cut it out, but some of you recommended possibly using a thread through the beads, although I haven't quite figured out the logistics of that yet. I do want to try it in the future as it might cut down on waste. They're so satisfying to roll between your hands, and now that I have 2 chickens, I kind of want to complete the whole set. What should I make next? I really want cute Minecraft earrings, so let's make some. We'll start by taping a piece of shrink plastic to the screen and color it like a coloring book. I used acrylic paint markers, but Sharpies and colored pencils also work. When I finish coloring, I'll put it over a blank white screen to highlight any spots I may have missed. I ended up coloring a charm for the Ender Pearl, Blaze Powder, and an Eye of Ender. When I finished all 3, I carefully cut out each charm, making sure to never close the scissors all the way down to avoid cracking the plastic, and making sure to leave room everywhere I wanted to punch a hole. Now to shrink them, I'll use a heat tool, and trust the process, they will shrink and flatten eventually. You can also do this with an oven and some patience. To protect the paint, I used to use UV resin, but it's pretty dangerous, so instead we're going to use this Mod Podge Dimensional Magic, which looks cloudy when you put it on, but will dry into a clear glossy finish. Now since my ears aren't actually pierced, we'll use some spring closure clip-ons and the metal rings that came with the kit to make the earrings. I love how these turned out. What should I make next? Did you know I made all these Minecraft sculptures only using paper, no glue, and no tape? Well, let's do it again to turn this stack of paper into a 16-inch Stardew Junimo. Let's get started. First, we need to cut 1,205 little rectangles from cardstock. And yes, it has to be cardstock. Regular paper is just too weak. Now we'll take 2 pieces at a time and place them in a plus sign orientation like this. Then fold the edges over each other. Each piece should end up looking like a square with 2 flaps. This is the only fold you need to know. Super simple, right? Now to build the cubes, we'll need 6 of these folded pieces, and we're gonna assemble them so that all the flaps stay on the outside. This is key. Every side should have 2 flaps. Strong enough to withstand a hit. To attach the cubes together, it's all about tucking one cube's flaps into the other cubes like this. They should also hold together very strong. I like to build my cubes in columns first and then attach them as I go. To hide the flaps, we'll take the same folded pieces and tuck the flaps into the side we're trying to cover, which makes a huge difference. And here it is, all done. The little Junimo stands on its own. I want to do a lot of paper projects this year. Maybe this next? What would you want to see me make? Come and bake a tiny Minecraft cake with me. We'll start off with a box mix and get some water from the tiny sink and add it into the bowl. We'll also add some vegetable oil and take 3 tiny eggs and add them into the bowl as well. Give it a good mix and add baking paper to the cake pan. Then we'll pour the batter in and stick it into the tiny oven to bake. While baking, I'm going to cut up some strawberry pieces to put on top of the cake, and I'm trying to make these as square and as tiny as possible. After about 8 minutes of baking, pull the cake out and use a toothpick to make sure it's fully baked. I'm then going to chop it so it's square shaped. Next we'll start adding frosting, and I really should have used fondant, but I hate the way it tastes. Although this white flavored frosting wasn't much better, and no, that's not vanilla, it literally was just white. Lastly, we're going to place on the strawberry pieces one at a time, and it was only difficult because they kept sticking to the utensils. Maybe another place where fondant would have been useful. Look at how tiny it is, but the real question is, how does it taste? You know, this tastes exactly like a cake from a box. What should I make next? Let's make some boba based on the rupees from The Legend of Zelda. Add water and sugar to a pot on low heat. Add tapioca starch, stir until sticky. Add more tapioca starch till dough forms, and then knead until smooth. Then we'll add food coloring, green, blue, and red, and use this little rupee-shaped cutter to cut out our rupees. Now we're gonna make a whole bunch of these. We'll take them to a pot of boiling water, cook cover for 7 minutes, let rest in the pot for 7 more. Drain then rinse and add some honey or brown sugar syrup, and now we'll make our drink. I made my glass look like the pot from Ocarina of Time. Now add your boba, then some ice, add some black tea, and finally some milk from Lolland Ranch. Add a boba straw and stir. Don't let Link near this. What should I make next? I built a giant Minecraft box only using paper, no glue, and no tape. Let me show you how. The entire build is made of cardstock paper cut into rectangles, and it must be cardstock paper because regular paper is too weak. You also only need to know one fold. Take 2 rectangles and place them in a plus sign orientation, and then fold the edges over each other like this. You'll end up with pieces that are a square with 2 flaps. Now a cube has 6 faces, so we'll take 6 of our folded rectangles and place them so all the flaps are on the outside of all the squares. The pressure from the flaps will hold the cube together strongly. To attach 2 cubes, you just need to tuck the flaps of one cube into the flaps of another cube, which also holds up nicely. Although for these 3D builds, I would often just build a cube directly attached to the other cubes. When I finished the base build, the fox looked like this. To smooth it out, we'll take the same folded piece and tuck the flaps of that piece into the flaps of the side you're trying to cover. And there is a secret behind some covers. I wrote the names of 2 wonderful viewers who gifted a bunch of subs during my live stream while building this, so thank you both. And my name is also on the nose. Here's before covers and after. Now for my next project, would it be crazy to build a full-size Enderman? I'm seriously considering it. What would you want to see next? Let's make a Minecraft pumpkin using this wooden cube. I started by sketching a 16 by 16 grid on each face. Once we have our grid, we'll go in with some acrylic paint markers as I find them easier than painting with a brush. Now I'm not gonna lie, this took at least 8 hours, maybe even longer. I stopped keeping track after we painted the face on live stream. And because of this project, one of my paint markers finally died. But I think it was worth it. At the end of the live stream, I wrote the names of all the people chatting on the bottom of the pumpkin, and I finished the other faces off camera. I can definitely see myself making more of these in the future. What would you want to see next? Do you remember this game? This is Toontown, and for this week's Gamercraft, we're gonna make the Toontown throw gags as magnets. To start, we'll use some shrink plastic and lightly tape it to a screen to trace the designs with acrylic paint markers. Now, Toontown holds such a special place in my heart because I played the original and was actually online the day the servers closed back in 2013. I also remember waiting in the play line for hours in the early stages of Toontown Rewritten development. I actually still play Toontown to this day, but on my Steam Deck. Now, when we finish tracing and cutting, it's time to shrink. I use a heat tool, but you can also pop them in the oven, and it's a little scary seeing your work curl up, but it will flatten out. I also like to add Mod Podge Dimensional Magic to protect the paint and add this thick, shiny coating. Lastly, we'll add some magnet backs with adhesive, and we're done. What would you want to see next? I made this Minecraft Bee coaster, but I didn't record how I made it, so let's make another Minecraft coaster to show the process, but this time we'll make a fox. I started by roughly measuring out 8 by 8 pixels on this square wooden coaster. It's not perfect, but you won't be able to tell too much after we add some color. For this project, I went with acrylic paint markers since they're really easy to work with. And trust the process. I was worried because it looked really strange, but once I filled in the pupils, it looked much better. To give it a cleaner look, I went ahead and colored the edges black, including the inside edge. I went over some colors again until I was happy with the way it looked, and I let the paint dry. To ensure that the paint won't run when being used, I used acrylic Mod Podge spray. Follow the directions on the can, and you can see it gave them a glossy finish. I still have 2 more of these, so what should I make next? Let's make the sea salt ice cream from Kingdom Hearts using this Miniverse food kit. If you don't know what Miniverse is, it's a DIY kit with tools to make tiny fake food. But they are random, so it took me quite a few tries to get the popsicle kit, which comes with this reusable popsicle mold and tiny popsicle sticks, which I cut in half so that I can make more in the future. We're not going to use this resin, we're going to mix our own sea salt ice cream resin using this white chocolate I have from another kit and some blue resin dye. I think resin is dangerous, so be smarter than me and use gloves. Luckily I didn't get any on my hands, but if you do, use a little bit of isopropyl alcohol to break it down and wipe it off immediately. Now I do have a few more mini video game themed foods I could do. What would you like to see done? I'm thinking maybe something Pokemon themed or from Portal. Now that we're done filling it, we're gonna add our little popsicle stick halves and cure it so they don't fall in, and then cure it even longer. After a few minutes of curing, we're gonna try and take them out of the mold, which was way harder than I thought it was gonna be. I really struggled to open the mold, and I had to wrestle a bit to get these out. I don't think the mold was quite set right because there was extra bits on the side, but I just cut those off and it came off pretty easily. And I adore the way these came out. They look perfect. And what's even better is it makes 2, so you can share one with a fellow Kingdom Hearts fan.
Let's make some easy Pokeball pastries. Start off by making the cream cheese filling, which is just 3 ingredients blended up. We'll set this aside and then take some pre-made puff pastry and roll it out. Save some dough on the side for the details, and then we'll start adding our cream cheese filling. You can also add fresh fruit like blueberries or strawberries. Brush down with some egg wash, and then we'll be ready to cover and cut.
Now you might be thinking, these don't look like Pokeballs yet. We're gonna take some egg wash and add some food coloring, red and black, and then we're gonna take some of the extra dough that we had, make some stripes and circles, and put the black egg wash on the stripes. Lastly, brush down half your pastry with a red egg yolk, and then we'll add a black stripe and a white circle. Bake at 375 for about 15 minutes and enjoy. What should I make next? So a few people had asked me where I had gotten this Princess Peach earring and where I'd gotten this Minecraft Bee charm. I actually made both of these and it was surprisingly easy, so let me show you how. Take an image you want to turn into a charm and lightly tape a piece of shrink plastic to the screen. Then I used acrylic paint markers to paint the charm, and it's kind of like a coloring book. You just color between the lines. I didn't have a second shade of red, so I went in with a red Sharpie, and this will be important later. Now for this charm, it doesn't look great yet because we're missing the outlines, so I went in with a black Sharpie, which really made these colors and shapes pop. I don't really have a steady hand for art like this, but after shrinking, you don't even notice it still looks great. Cut it out and punch a hole in the top, so after shrinking, it can easily be turned into a charm. You can shrink it in the microwave or oven, but I use a special heat tool to shrink it quickly. Trust the process. I almost started panicking when it curled up like this, but then it started to flatten. I quickly placed something on top to keep it flat. To protect the paint from scratching, I used some UV resin and cured it. The shrink plastic kit I bought came with accessories to make keychains and earrings. And remember how I said the red Sharpie was important? It made the second bit of red look transparent, which looked amazing in contrast to the paint. I turned this one into a keychain, and overall, I'm impressed. What would you like to see next? next. Here's how I made some Pokeball Boba pearls. In a microwave-safe bowl, we're gonna go ahead and add water and sugar. Mix and microwave for about 15 seconds to help the sugar dissolve. Then we'll add in some tapioca starch and stir it in, and microwave in 15 to 30 second increments till it's sticky like this. Give it a quick stir before adding in the rest of your tapioca starch. Fold it in till it's cool enough to touch, and then start to knead. Knead until it can't hold any more tapioca starch. Now we can section this out and add food coloring. And yes, that does include the white as well. The white will cook clear if you don't add anything. Now to shape the balls, I started with a thick piece of white and layered on a thin piece of black using some water. Then use more water to attach a thick piece of red. This is the layers of the Pokeball. Cut a piece and just roll it into a ball. It should turn out something like this. Then use some water to attach a black dot and some more water to attach a white dot on top of that to make a little button. Repeat this process to make Pokeballs, Great Balls, Ultra Balls, Master Balls, and Premier Balls. Then we'll take all of these and pour them into some boiling water, wait till they all float, and then cook to the directions above. After this, pull them out, check the texture, and if they're ready, add some honey. This is what they look like fully cooked, and yes, they do fit up the straw.